Welcome back to another episode of Local Search Tuesdays. This week, I've got a special treat for you. My slides from last week's SEO week in New York City. I spent last week in NYC for the first ever SEO week, a new conference organized by Mike King. This was an insanely cool conference. Not only was the speaker lineup absolutely stacked, the venue was insanely cool. They did this cool projection mapping thing in the room that really took the presentations to an entirely different level. I took advantage of the room and did some really cool stuff with my presentation. I even handed out 3D glasses to everyone and started the presentation with an actual 3D movie clip. I'm not showing it here today, though. It'd look weird without glasses. But obviously, this will be a bit longer than my typical episodes, so get comfortable.
This is the 3 dimensions of local search. And you may have seen the rumors online, and yes, it's true. I actually edited together a true red, blue, anaglyph 3D movie trailer to start the presentation. Everyone in the crowd threw on glasses. It was really epic. But it'd be kind of weird to start it off here, and it wouldn't look good without the glasses. So we're going to skip it today. You know who I am. You're watching this on my video series, and you know that I have a lot of fun. And, you know, when I do the stuff in front of the green screen, I'll have my not-so-evil twin come out and have conversations. If this is your first time watching the series, typically it's short 3 to 5 minute clips, but every once in a while I share a conference presentation. So make sure you check back. But I speak at a ton of conferences, and sometimes companies will put salespeople on stage instead of speakers, and they're not that great at speaking, and they put their slides together themselves without the help of a designer. So it's a plain white background and black Arial font, and they pack every slide with bullet points and spend the entire time reading the bullet points, which is really bad because not only is it not that great to sit and listen to, they've done scientific studies that prove that bullet points kill kittens. So we're going to keep all the kitties safe today. And I love movies, and I'm obsessed with movies. So I love to share my love of movies with my love of digital marketing. So every time I do a presentation, there is a movie theme. Today's theme is obviously going to be 3D movies. So I've got 103 3D movie references in today's presentation, including at least one movie for every year that a 3D film was released in movie theaters since 1952. It's really exciting. So let's get this going. Except I think the battery in my clicker might be out because I am not able for some reason to click to the next slide.
Come on, dude. We're waiting.
Dude, it's my clicker. And why are you still wearing 3D glasses?
Whatever, dude. These look cool. Just maybe get going with the presentation, man.
I mean, I'm trying, dude, but okay, here we go. So if you do face-to-face business with local customers, then you need to be doing local SEO. And the 3 primary signals, or what we could call the 3 dimensions, that influence your visibility in local searches are your site, your Google business profile, and your reviews. Now, a lot of people at the conference were talking about how AI and AI overviews and AI search systems have really changed the situation for digital marketers, but we're still fairly isolated from AI overviews and AI searches in local because the AI systems don't really get how local search results should work. But we know that AI is coming for local at some point in the probably, I can't spell, obviously, in the probably near future. And as far as we know, those AI systems are still going to need your website to learn about your business. So optimizing those 3 dimensions will help you with Google and with the AI systems when those become more important in the future. So remember with everything that you do that Google is really just an advanced pattern detection system.
And so are the AI systems.
Yeah, you know, he's right. So don't get lost in basic checklist tactics. You should be thinking outside of the box and doing everything you can to improve your brand's digital pattern. And one of the best things you can do is to pay attention to the annual local search ranking factor study run by Whitespark, where they send a really extensive survey out to the top 40 experts in local SEO on the planet. And when those answers are aggregated, We get a lot of insight into how things have changed since the last year and which factors influence visibility. And he also breaks it down into some cool little pie charts to make it easier to understand. And I dropped 3D glasses on whichever elements matched up to the 3 dimensions that we're talking about today, so you can see how important these signals are for showing up in Google Maps and in the map pack. And even below the map pack in localized organic, we still have a lot of importance from the dimensions. And we know that customers shop around. Nobody goes to Google and does a search and buys from the first business that they find. The more expensive that product or service is, the more research people are going to do. So you need to make sure that you're using your 3 dimensions to stand out from the competition so that you're appealing and memorable. So they'll come back to you because they like you and it's easy to come to your site. And you've got to give people a reason to come back and convert at a later date. So you shouldn't just be copying the content that your competitors have. If you have the same generic bullshit content as everybody else in town, why would any customer care? You need to be thinking about information gain. This is a concept that basically says if the corpus of content is all basically the same, let's take your local market. If all of the competing businesses have basically the same content on your website, but you go above and beyond and you share additional relatively, important related information that will provide more answers to the questions that your customers would have, that is information gain. And information gain helps you stand out from local competitors. And it also provides better information to the AI systems when those become more important in the future. And a lot of people have used AI as a shortcut, and they're using AI to write content, and they're not running it through human editing. So that massive deluge of shitty AI-generated content is really making it harder for customers to find the answers that they're looking for. So information gain is going to help you there too. Actual human-written content that provides better answers is always going to win over the crappy AI content. So make sure that your content is actually about your business, about you, how you run the business, not just about the fact that you sell a certain product or service. And it needs to be about the local area too. And this is an important point because Team Jacob is dressed up like a shark and punching in 3D. So there's a really easy way to test this. Let's say we have a plastic surgeon in New York City, and we were to take his homepage content and we change only the name of his practice and New York every time it appears, and we change it to the name of a practice in Beverly Hills and change New York to Beverly Hills. Would that content still work on the other side of the country? If it would, it wasn't really about the practice in New York or about New York. So it's a really simple test to run. And you should also read your content out loud. Everything on your site should sound conversational. This is important both to Google and to the AI systems.
Ooh, tell them the story about the car dealer.
Dude, are you going to keep doing this?
Well, I'm already here.
Oh my gosh, this could get really annoying. Sorry about this, everybody. But we were at a conference years ago and I spoke, and I always use automotive examples because at the time I was working at an agency that only did SEO for car dealers, and the guy wanted help, and he was a Ford dealer in Dallas, and his content on his homepage basically sounded like this. If you want to buy a Ford pickup in Dallas, come to our Ford pickup headquarters in Dallas, where we sell more Ford pickups than anyone else in Dallas. When you're ready to buy your next Ford pickup, we'll give you the best deal on a Ford pickup, so come down to our Ford pickup headquarters in downtown Dallas. So the agency that wrote that for that dealership was telling them, guys, you are going to rank everywhere for Ford pickups in Dallas. But every human that read the content was thinking, what the heck is wrong with these guys? And when you read the content out loud, your ear will hear the things that sound awkward, where your eye will see keyword, and think that it's good SEO. So a really simple concept that you should keep in mind. If you want to show up as a search result for any particular phrase that someone types in, then you need a page of content on your website that's about that singular concept. But we're not talking about writing the best answer on the internet. We're talking local SEO. So that content only needs to be the best answer in the local area to the question that the searcher is asking. And if you're writing the best answer, you should probably answer some of the related and subsequent questions that the searcher would have or potential customer would have once they have that initial answer. And you've got to have a blog, and you've got to be posting to the blog on a regular basis, because if you're only writing content that's about buy now, buy now, buy now, that's extreme bottom of funnel content. And you need to use the blog to target the mid to upper funnel customers that aren't quite sure what they need or where they're going with the direction of the problem that they have. And you can even get customers even earlier if you share local informational posts. If you are sharing information about the local area, it helps build more local relevancy, and it's information gain. You're going to stand out from the competition, and people aren't even going to be looking for what you're buying, or people aren't going to be looking to buy what you're selling because they're not ready to buy yet, but they'll be ready to buy in the future. We call this pre-funnel content. It works like putting up a billboard. You wouldn't expect that everyone that sees the billboard is going to call you. It's there for brand awareness and brand building, and that's how this local informational content works. And the AI systems love this type of local informational content. So if you need ideas for how to do it, here is a blog post that I did with a video. You can watch the video, you can read the blog post for 10 ideas to use as a springboard to write your own localized content. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to argue about the fact that Schema is going to help you with the AI search systems, because come on, they're changing really quickly. And while it's probably a good assumption, I'm not going to sit here and try to say that that's the case, but it's not really that hard to implement Schema. So why would you not just go ahead and do it? Because if it doesn't help, it's not that hard, but it likely does. And it's still not that hard. So you should just do it. But everyone always wants to rank in the town next door. And that's not as easy as it used to be. You need to make sure that you own your backyard first. And what I mean by that is you should have a solid enough optimization foundation that you are dominating the search results in the city where you're located before you start trying to out SEO the people that are in nearby areas. So if you're in a less competitive area or just a pretty rural area, you can create some city pages to help expand your reach. And this video will walk you through how to do that. But if there is a little bit more competition, you're probably going to need to be more advanced and use what's called local content silos. And this video will walk you through how to do that. But I'm trying to go through this quickly so that we're not taking too much time. Let's move on to the next topic, which is inbound links. Inbound links work differently in the local algorithm as well.
Bro, links aren't one of the 3 dimensions.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. So let's talk about Google Business Profiles instead. Now, there's been a lot of flux with Google Business Profiles in recent months. Just recently, at the end of March, Google removed the questions and answers section from Google Business Profiles. And then about a week ago, Google Posts disappeared, but we found out that it's a bug, and actually at this point, the bug has been fixed. But it's really important to pay attention to what's going on and have an awesome profile, because your business profile is every customer's first impression of your business. And a properly optimized profile allows you to show up more often in those coveted map pack spots. So you don't really have to bend over backwards to show up in the map pack. You just got to optimize your profile the right way. Haha, get it? Get it? So make sure you're filling out everything that you can fill out in the business profile, and make sure that you add UTM tracking to your website links, because attribution is broken, and quite often your organic traffic is getting attributed as direct traffic in Google Analytics. So watch this video to understand how to use UTMs correctly. And that UTM little hack right there is going to make sure that you get better data in Google Analytics, as long as we're still getting traffic to our websites, because obviously traffic's going to be going down as AI overviews take over, and AI search systems will basically give people the answer and guide them down the path to purchase. They won't really need to go to your website until they're deciding who they want to buy from and how they're going to get to that business. But as AI search continues to change how people search online, we're going to likely see a huge increase in brand searches, because people will already have the answer, but now they're going to be searching for the name of your company when they're at the bottom of the funnel. So UTMs will help you track this as well. And you should definitely be using local business schema markup and use the subclass that applies to your particular business type. But don't make the mistake that most people do and drop it on every page of your site. Your local business schema markup should only be on the landing page of the website button on your business profile, which for single point businesses is the homepage, and for multi-location businesses would be the individual location page for that location. Make sure you've got your correct hours listed and make sure you keep them up to date, because this is going to be a huge, huge signal as the AI systems continue to ease their way into local search and change the way that people are finding businesses. Make sure you're uploading a lot of high quality photos, because people are going to want to see that you're a great place to come buy from. Make sure you're choosing the correct categories and be very specific and be very strategic with the category that you put in the first slot, because that primary category is more weighted than the other categories. In fact, this is the most influential factor according to the most recent local search ranking factor study that is going to influence your placement in the map pack. So watch this video. It explains how to think strategically about what you should put in that first slot. You also need to make sure you understand the new reinstatement process if you happen to get suspended. It has been rolled out worldwide, and you'll get an email that's very vague and doesn't really tell you why you've been suspended, and it will give you a button or a link that you can click on to request reinstatement. Once you click that button, it starts the 60-minute timer of doom. You only have 60 minutes to get all of your documentation together, and potentially the re-verification video needs to be done in that time period as well. You may not even be near your business, and if you have to do the video, that's going to be key. So make sure you don't start the process till you already have your documentation together and you're at the business so you can record the video if you need to. Because if that timer expires, you only get one more appeal. Or if you just don't do it correctly and you fail, you only get one more appeal. And then that's it. Those are your two chances and your business profile is gone forever. So make sure you watch my video that has a lot of tips for what you should have in that verification video. And if you do have problems with your business profile, you typically don't want to contact support, because support is pretty awful and they're not going to be able to help you. So instead, you should go post on the Google Business Profile Community Forum and get help from product experts, which are basically volunteers. They're people like me who donate their time to help people with problems on these forums. And then once Google sees that you've answered things consistently and well, you're invited into the product expert program. So if you get an answer from someone with the product expert badge, you can trust that their answer is correct. Reviews are really important, the third dimension that we're talking about today, and they've actually gained weight or importance every year over the last few years. And review sentiment is going to be key with the AI search system. So you need to make sure you're being proactive with your reputation management process. Watch this video. It walks you through the whole thing. But it's important to remember, or realize if you haven't heard, that it's not really human nature to leave a good review. If you're having a great experience, you're probably not going to leave a review. But if you're having a bad experience, you're definitely going to. So you want to make it easy for customers to leave a review, and you need to make sure you ask every single customer for a review, because once you've asked them, they feel more obligated to leave that review if they've had a great experience. You want to make sure you're answering every single review as well, not just the good ones, not just the bad ones, but both. Every review needs a response. And remember, when you're putting your response into a bad review, your response is not for the person that left the bad review. It's for every potential customer in the future who's reading your reviews and wants to see how you handled that situation. And the algorithm doesn't actually care how many reviews you have. It's just important to maintain a review count that is higher than your local competition. So just make sure that you stay ahead of them and you have more reviews. Now, exponentially more doesn't matter. Just make sure that you're always slightly ahead, and make sure that obviously your aggregate score is better than the competition as well. And here's a cool little tip that I like to share. You know, the default order of reviews, when you first go to a business profile and you haven't used one of the filters to change the order to see the most recent reviews or the best reviews or the worst reviews. And thanks to Joy at Sterling Sky for this research, because I love this little trick. If a review has a photo uploaded along with it, it is stickier and it stays in the default order for a longer period of time. And if a review has more text, it is stickier and it stays in the default sort order for a longer period of time. And if a review has 2 or more thumbs up, which you can give thumbs up if you think a review is helpful. So if it's got 2 or more of these thumbs up, upvotes, not updates, sorry, it will stay in the default order for a longer period of time. So if you get a bad review that shows in that default sort order and it's right there front and center and everyone will see it, you can bury it quickly. Just get someone who recently left you a 5-star review to add more context to their story. Reach out to them. You probably have their contact information. Get them to write more of a story and have them upload a photo. And once they've done it, have a couple of people at the office, give it a thumbs up, and boom, that thing pops up to the top of the list. And you can do that a few times and bury those bad reviews. Now, I got a telephone story here. I gave a really awesome presentation at SMX Munich about a month ago about using the user-generated content from your reviews and from the Q&A section in your business profile to write better content for your website.
And literally a week later, Google got rid of Q&A. So good job on the pointless presentation, bro.
Thanks, buddy. But you can still get value out of that presentation. You can still analyze your customer reviews and take that language and put it on your site to have better content. Because business owners and marketers, we have blinders on. We know everything about the business and we know all of the marketing speak and how to talk about what it is that's being sold. But customers honestly don't care about all of the marketing bullshit. You've got to remember that when people are shopping for something, they have a problem and they are looking for a solution to the problem. And part of the solution is figuring out which business they're going to buy that solution from. So why wouldn't we be paying attention to how customers are actually talking about us?
We put this one in for you, Talia.
So Talia is one of my speaker friends, and she is a massive comic book nerd, and she is a huge fan of Wonder Woman. So that's why that was there for everyone who's wondering. But we need to offer an authentic experience on the website that matches the experience in reality of doing business with the particular business. So if your website experience matches the reality of doing business with you, more people are going to find you. And the easiest way to match the website content to real world experience is to use the language that your customers are using in reviews. They provide really powerful insights about what your customers actually think happened when they came to buy from you. So analyze your reviews and look for patterns and trends. Do you see certain phrases or concepts continue to be mentioned throughout your reviews over time? Or it's not just about the good stuff. Do people mention certain pain points over and over again? Or do customers really celebrate something specific? Or do they share tips for future customers that might help future customers really have a stellar experience? Take all of that language and use it on your website to improve your website. So the way you do this, you need to use a tool, something like Places Scout, to download all your reviews. And if you're watching this and you've never heard of Places Scout, go check it out. It is by far, zero question, the best local SEO tool. But you can use a tool like Places Scout to download all of your reviews and then just dump all your reviews into ChatGPT, ask it to sort the reviews into topic buckets and to summarize the recurring themes in your reviews. You will get some really, really amazing insight there.
Give them the cool thing, bro.
Okay, I'm going to give you something really cool here. So we have a local SEO scoring matrix that we use at conferences and on demo calls when we're talking to potential clients that we're going to maybe work with. This matrix is basically a mini audit. It scores the 3 dimensions and also scores links that all of these signals are going to influence your visibility in local search, but it scores on tactics, not on strategy. Now, strategy is the direction you're going, and tactics are the individual steps that you take to get there. So we're scoring on a more basic tactical level because it makes it more helpful. It's not something that if we gave it to a potential client, they could take back to their SEO partner or their current agency. It'd be really hard for that current partner or agency to refute those results and say, oh, they don't know your strategy. This is really generic. You can just ignore it. I mean, think about what happens if you get a HubSpot site grader. You pretty much ignore it because it's so generic and so off base. But because we're judging on basic tactics that anyone that knows local SEO would agree on, it's more universally helpful. And when we started using this matrix on demo calls, so that before we do a demo call with a potential customer or client, then we're going to run this matrix. And now instead of just doing the default presentation that says, hey, you should buy from us, we're great, and here's the things we would do, now we're having real conversations about the problems that we found and how we would address those problems and fix them if we were working together. So once we started doing this on every demo call, it more than doubled our close rate for our demos. So those 4 areas in the matrix are weighted to approximate the importance of each of the areas to Google's local algorithm. And the total score goes anywhere from 0 to 100 points. And the 100 points is effectively impossible, but you can also lose points for certain elements in the matrix. So the highest score that we've ever seen is an 83.6. And the lowest score we've ever seen was a negative 71.5. And this was a dealership in California that was paying $5,000 a month for SEO. The average score is only 18.3 points out of 100, which just goes to show that a lot of people really need SEO help. So I wanted to share them with you today. These are the new Google Sheets version. So if you've ever seen me share a link in the last year to our matrix, that was the Excel version. I've updated to Google Sheets. It's much, much better. So I'm sharing 2 versions. The generic version will work with any local business. And then we also have vertical specific versions for the verticals we work more often with. So I'm sharing the auto dealer version with you so you can see how I've adjusted the auto dealer version to include some additional pages on the site and some additional elements in the Google Business Profile. So it's really cool. Take them, figure out if you want to tweak them, and use them for yourself.
Come on, dude. You can give them more.
All right, cool. I'm going to show you one other really cool thing. So I just did a talk at Brighton SEO a few weeks back in the UK about Google Sheets formulas and functions that you could use in digital marketing. So I created a cheat sheet. Download the cheat sheet and look at the final tab in the cheat sheet, because that final tab, Checker and Jocker, walks you through setting up a roll-up report. So basically, every time you run this matrix or this mini audit, you're going to save a copy of it into a specific folder on your Google Drive. And every morning at 2 a.m., you're going to have an aggregate roll-up report that takes all of the results of every matrix that's been dropped in and starts creating this aggregate roll-up. So you can start to create your own data, and you can gather all of this data and get averages and all sorts of amazing stuff. So it just continues to boom, 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 add on more and more for everything that you added in. Thank you so much for sticking through this presentation with me today. If you ever have questions, there's my email address. I have an open policy. I will always answer emails if someone sends me an email. And if you'd like a copy of the slides, you can grab them from me as well at that email address. And if you're curious, as always, there is a list of all the movies by order of release date at the end of the slides. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for sticking around to watch the whole thing. That's definitely all the time we have left for this week's episode. So you know what that means. Put your hand on the screen right here. We totally just high-fived because you learned something awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of Local Search Tuesdays.